Nice bank of garlic mustard here. Are they playing with me? I think they're playing with me. They're everywhere in here at the time. All laying low in the spruces in the rain. I don't know where that other one went. I'm sure we'll shake her out again. Oh, there he or she is. Chickadees singing. Another little spot of ramps there. Another little spot right there. This is some beautiful forest in here. We'll go after that nice little ridge line out there and overlook the swamp. Just saw that deer take off down over that way. Thought maybe we would get an overlook from the ridge. Nice pile of stones here. So out that way, there are several intertide swamps. Huge fallen trees in them. Very interesting ecosystem. Maybe we'll take a little walk down there. By the way, more ramps right there. And right there. More ramps. More ramps. More ramps. Ferns emerging. You can see where the swamp starts, where all the skunk cabbage is. I've seen all kinds of stuff in here. Turtles, ducks, turkey, deer, owls, pileated woodpeckers, small woodpeckers. Speaking of pileated woodpeckers, wish I had deer off across the swamp. So these seemingly chaotic forest floors are such an excellent way to study how ecosystems act and evolve and shift. So we had a huge oak tree here. It was toppled by the wind at some point, and its root structure ripped up this huge chunk of soil. We have a very heavy clay soil here in Tivoli, and it left behind a small pond. You imagine how many frogs will emerge from that pond over the next 20 or 30 years before it starts to fill in with sediment or shift or change to something else. Think of all the life that provides an opportunity for. Oh, and speaking of that, I just spotted some tadpoles. Look at that. Look at that. So there you go. This video is kind of more of a walk-through nature tour of the property we're on here. But I think that's one of the best ways to study natural systems, so we can do our best to mimic those in our farming systems, in our living systems, and in all of our operating systems, as much as we can study and mimic nature. It's super complex, but nature will do the work for you if you just sit back and let it do what it does. Give it a little help here and there, and stop doing things that harm it or prevent it from doing what it does. So look how dark and humic this soil is where this tree was. You can see this is the natural clay soil here. It's very light in color. And then this is the soil that was under this tree. And you can see it almost doesn't even act like clay now. I mean, it's still sticky, but you can see it aggregates. And by the darkness you can tell it's high in humic matter. And of course that has a lot to do with the interaction of the fungi and the root system on the tree. And then look at all these other species of moss and plants. They're supported by that. Now that the tree is gone, there's enough light to get in here to support new growth. And the tree itself is supporting new growth. Anyway, again, this may not be super interesting to some people, but I find nature truly fascinating, and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And interesting to note, there is a massive patch of leeks, wild garlic, I'm sorry, right there. And on the other side of the newly formed natural pond, another patch. And then a lot of this lower canopy stuff in here is spice bush. And when that bursts into flower, it will smell fantastic. It's commonly confused with witch hazel, which is actually a different plant. But the spice bush smells very similar. It's a wonderful, like, sort of a citrusy smell. Very hard to describe. But you can see those are getting ready to open up into flower. I'm sure my bees will be back here at some point. Okay, I think that's it for now. I don't know if I'll film any more or not. I just thought I would share some of this beautiful ecosystem. Well, it just doesn't end out here. That's a violet. bumblebee out in the barberry. Going after the barberry flowers. This is barberry. The berries from this in the fall are bright red. They have a substance called berberine in them, and they're one of the natural medicines to use to help cure Lyme. And interestingly enough, when I worked for a surveyor engineer, we worked in large hedgerows of this at times, especially down in Millbrook, New York, and oh, it's miserable stuff to work in. It's got these little tiny thorns that are like needle. Yeah, see if you can see that next to my thumbnail. Yeah, there you go, like a needle. They go straight in through your pants, into your skin. They don't come out easily. They break off and they stay in. And honestly, the easy way to get them out is wait like 2 or 3 days. They'll get kind of like a zit around them, and then you can squeeze them out and they just pop out. But if you try to dig them out normally, they break off. They're miserable. Anyway, as I was saying, interestingly enough, this is also where we picked up tremendous amounts of ticks when we would get ticks. I don't get ticks on me usually. They don't usually get on me. Occasionally they do, but very rarely. But my ex-employer, we would come out of the woods, he'd have 100 ticks on him. I might have 1 or 2, but he'd have hundreds on him. Anyway, interesting that the tick hangs out in these bushes, and also that one of the natural medicines used to help take Lyme disease, to help people conquer Lyme disease, is the very same plant that the ticks hang out in. I see a lot of those interesting sort of correlations in nature. Just interesting to observe. Well, this is one I see every spring. I don't know what it is, I'm ashamed to say. So if anybody knows what this flower is, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to know. Wild strawberry. Elderberry. Popping on leaves. Putting out new spring growth. See if I can get a less backlighted shot of that. Not really. Two more right there. A couple more back over that way. Very clear line between areas in the foliar feed program and mulch program and areas that are not.